Smash your fears, live your dreams. Chapter 1. My dad, my hero. Growing up, I was quite an insecure child. Most of the time I tried to mask this by acting confident, but deep down there was an inner struggle going on behind the scenes. My parents divorced when I was 8 years old, and my younger brother and myself stayed with our mum. Despite not living with our dad, he came to visit us regularly, and we had a great relationship with him. Like most kids, our dad was our hero. He was short in stature but had a great personality and was the life and soul of the party. He got on with everybody and was always full of energy. Through his childhood he had quite a temper, and this got him into a lot of fights. His philosophy was hit them first and ask questions later. Being only 5'5" tall, I guess many a bully picked on him as an easy target, which would have been a big mistake on their part. He was a great storyteller and constantly told us tales of fights that he got in when he was younger, and he made them sound so glamorous. He wasn't a troublemaker but would never back down from a fight. We both used to love listening to his stories, even though we heard the same ones time and time again, and we both wanted to be just like him. At school I was going through a period of being bullied, and I knew I needed to stand up for myself and fight back, but felt too paralysed by fear to do anything about it. The butterflies in my stomach and shaking legs made me feel like a real coward. Have you ever been in a situation where you knew you needed to take action but just lacked the courage to do so? The more stories my dad told me, the worse I felt. Why was he so brave and why was I such a coward? I dreamed of being like those heroes on the television where they fight the bad guys and always save the day. This period of my life really affected my self-confidence and self-esteem, and I was so ashamed of myself. I was too embarrassed to confide in my parents about the bullying, as I was worried what my dad would have done to the boys if he had found out. My first life-changing moment came when I spotted a bodybuilding magazine in the local newsagents. I was mesmerised by these guys with massive muscles. I had visions of me looking like them and thought there is no way I would get bullied if I looked like that. I purchased the magazine, invested in some second-hand weights from a car boot sale, and started weight training in the garage at home from 6:30 every morning before I went to school. Workout by workout, as my confidence started to increase, this was a great feeling. I also struggled academically at school, but because I was getting stronger physically and also mentally, I didn't quite feel as inferior as the other students as I had done before. The bullying though was still a problem, so with the extra confidence that I had gained through weight training, I enrolled in a local karate class and set my sights on gaining the coveted black belt. Again, I had visions of being like Bruce Lee, the first ever martial arts film star for those that are too young to remember him, and I would take on all the bad guys and be invincible, just like my dear old dad. Stuck in the mud. I will never forget one particular incident that occurred a few years after I started karate, and this really was the turning point for me. My brother and I used to love going to the pier in Clacton-on-Sea, something that we did weekly as my mum had a business nearby. One particular ride that we loved to go on was the electric motorbikes, and the ladies that were in charge were always very friendly and welcoming. This particular day we enjoyed going on the ride and then walked away just as 4 older lads arrived to do the same. We watched them go around the track on the motorbikes, but they were really messing around. After a few warnings from the ladies in charge, the boys were asked to leave and an altercation ensued. They started hitting the ladies, and my immediate reaction was to run to their aid, but Anthony, my brother, and I just stood there, frozen on the spot. We knew what the right thing to do was, but we were both too scared to actually do it. After a short altercation, these lads ran off and we checked to see if the ladies were okay. Again, I was ashamed of myself for being such a coward. That day, I vowed to keep training at karate to get my black belt so I could be that confident person that I so desperately wanted to be. After a few failed attempts, I finally achieved the black belt. Everybody was so proud of me, and I was super proud of myself. However, this feeling was to be short-lived. Have you ever embarked on a journey for you to later realise that the mountain you had climbed didn't actually give you all the answers you were looking for? At this stage, I had left school and was still training regularly at the karate class. I was holding my own when sparring, which is the controlled fighting in karate, and I was holding my own with all the other class members, and finally felt like that if I needed to, I could defend myself. I got into a few more confrontational situations during this time, and still every time I froze with fear. I felt like a warrior in the dojo, but felt like a wimp in a real situation. Karate had given me the confidence to stand up to the bullies at school, but I was still overwhelmed by this feeling of fear and felt like that young boy again. I had a thought one day that if somebody gave me the choice of £1 million or the skills to be a fighter, I would have gone for the latter every time. That's how important it was to me. There had to be an answer. My second life-changing moment came when I came across a book called Watch My Back by Jeff Thompson. Jeff's story was so similar to mine that he was bullied as a kid and he took to karate and other martial arts to help him become brave and invincible like Bruce Lee. He too got his black belt but still felt scared in real situations, so he decided the only way he could conquer his fear of confrontation was to face it head on and become a nightclub doorman. His book details all the incidents that he was involved in, but more importantly, he spoke openly about his feelings before, during and after physical altercations. For the first time, somebody admitted that they felt scared, and this for me was a total revelation. Men especially will not talk about their own fears, as they may be seen as a sign of weakness, when really admitting your fears is a sign of strength. So I set out on a new path of self-discovery. I was going to face my fears of fighting and confrontation head on, just like Jeff Thompson. I joined a kickboxing club and progressed to boxing, where I started to fight competitively and then became a nightclub doorman. The feelings are so intense before you step into the boxing ring, as you know the other person is actually in there to try and knock you unconscious. You have fear, but you know you have to handle it. Also, standing on the door of a nightclub where the threat of violence is never too far away is pretty scary, but with practice you can learn to handle the mental battle within yourself. And later on in this book I will show you how to. I decided that fear was never going to hold me back again, and having the courage to confront my fears has changed my life beyond recognition, and it can do the same for you. So if you feel trapped, frustrated and unfulfilled in your current situation in life, then my guess is that fear has been the culprit that's been holding you back at some level. You might be stuck in a job, a relationship or an income level within your own business, and you can't seem to muster the courage to take action to better yourself. In this book, my goal is to help you recognise and overcome your own unique fears so you can remove any mental barriers so you can live the life that you deserve and can be proud of. Through my own struggles and challenges, I would like to share with you what I've learned to help you become the best version of yourself. To have great self-confidence, great self-esteem, and more importantly, being able to believe in yourself is the greatest gift of all. When you believe in yourself, anything is truly possible and life gets really exciting. My wish for you is that this book will be the catalyst for change in your life. However, change will only occur if you're prepared to take action. You've probably heard before that knowledge is power, but in reality, knowledge is only potential power. The magic really happens when you begin to take action and apply that knowledge. You can read all the books you want on how to swim, but until you're prepared to jump into the swimming pool and get wet, this knowledge is useless. With this in mind, I've given you some little action steps to take at the end of each chapter to help you progress on your journey. Of course, it's completely up to you whether you can complete them, but if you are serious about change, then I know you will. Let's begin this journey together. Are you ready?